Are we starting?
We are live. My name is Rational Outlaw. You are watching Rational News. Today's topic is going to be on the Second Amendment and gun control. Why don't I have my guests introduce themselves?
Hello, I'm 18 Putza. I'm a free speech advocate on Minds, owner of the All-Purpose Group, allowing you to do and say whatever you want as long as it's legal. I try to define myself of the most practical solution, somewhere between libertarian and specific nationalism, and continue to do my best to not let the world go down absolute tyranny. Try to bring a bit of practicality and reason to a world that's going rapidly Marxist, and so forth and so forth. Just simple man with simple philosophy, trying to do simple things to whatever that may be, to the best of my effort. And
okay.
I could give you...
Yeah, okay. I'm Sam. I run the Warm Potato YouTube channel. I wasn't sure if you were finished, but you were...
Oh, go ahead, man.
Okay, yeah. I'm Sam. I run the Warm Potato YouTube channel. Lots of politics, political conservative. Probably very well informed, probably more well informed than a lot of people. And let's get this conversation started. So the next one is Z.
And I'm Z, Commander. I have the most regrettable mistakes out of everyone in this group. That's all you need to know.
Okay,
I'll take your word for it.
As I said earlier, the topic is going to be on the Second Amendment, gun control, stuff like that. So we can first, I guess, talk about the Second Amendment in general sense. From what I recall, let's look at a source. Does anyone want to look up a source of what the specific wording of the Second Amendment is? Exactly what the words are. We can just
I could get that one.
Let me see. Right here.
Okay, nearly there.
Okay, did anyone else find it, or can I start reading?
You can start reading.
I got it, but you can start reading.
Okay. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the right of people to keep and bear arms creates the individual constitutional right for citizens of the United States. Okay, I don't have the full text. I only had that quote. Did someone else find the... let me see. Yeah,
I just clicked the first link and I'm stuck at Wikipedia and it's giving me nothing.
Let me... Oh, wait. I think I found the full text. Let me see right here. Thank goodness it just started, so no one's actually reading, watching us intently just yet, so we haven't embarrassed ourselves. No, it can't be that hard to find the text of...
Well, considering that the number one...
infinite technology and everything, we could find it. It's there somewhere. It's only one of the most important amendments.
Exactly. Like it should be very easy to find, and yet...
Okay, I think I have something here.
I'm just going to pull out my Constitution. Let me see. I have a pocket Constitution somewhere.
We need Nicolas Cage.
Well, I think Google's onto us. All right?
Well, I think...
I mean, they did screw up with Abe Lincoln.
I think one thing we can agree on is that it does not say that you only can have muskets.
Well, no, that would be highly improbable.
Also,
they did give Navy capabilities to many individuals defending themselves from pirates.
Yeah,
I don't think...
I've heard about that. Where they had actual cannons for their ships. They were allowed to have cannons.
Yes, that's quite the technological difference between muskets and fucking cannons.
Steven Crowder did a good video on this where he pointed out of how even during the musket times when the Constitution was being written, there were multiple firearms which we could easily consider much more deadly.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I can't remember what was the one which was essentially a 6-barreled musket, which you had two options. It either destroyed everything in front of you or it blew up in your face. So it was double
the Chinese
dangerous.
win that pretty quickly when fighting the British.
Yeah, no, actually, that was the full quote because I was expecting some subsection of it, but it was just just a blank amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free people, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, and that's it. And there's nothing else. Everything else is just, that's weird,
Another
huh?
point people, I guess, often try to
Literally, the only source I could find on my team that's good is laws.com, but for kids.
Rest in
Like,
peace.
this is the most uncensored thing I can find right now.
Well, another
Yeah.
thing I guess people try to misinterpret a lot of times is the well-regulated militia trying to say that it's talking about a military when it's not really talking about a military.
Yeah.
I would absolutely agree with that. It shall not be infringed upon the people. You cannot form a militia if the individuals themselves are not allowed to require some kind of force amplifier to stand against tyranny of any kind. Even if you take that full in context of forming a militia, the individuals need, let's say, the ability to arm themselves. Even if you take it in that context.
I feel like slowly by slowly, we're going to have the Young Turks pop up at one point.
Oh boy. So if we're talking about the legal, if Rational wants to start out, 'cause I thought we were starting out with the shooting, but if we're going to talk about the legal actual text of it all, it was just a well-regulated militia, so on and so forth. And for the longest period of time, it was just implied that people could have and own guns until a specific Supreme Court case actually solidified it in stone. Boom. You have the ability to bear arms. And then from there, the Congress started creating their regulations and so on and so forth. You know how it is.
I actually got something on the gun shooting.
Yeah. I believe it was in 1992. If I'm not
1992?
mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
There's always been a slippery slope, but we're talking about as of recent. The last time it was decently touched upon, I would say 1992, which is the foundation of the law itself.
Where does everyone stand on the whole Second Amendment? I myself am almost an absolutist with it. Like, one of the few things where I draw the line is I don't believe any individual should have like nuclear bombs or anything or anything like that, because that could actually kill thousands. Because just if someone was to do something stupid,
just look at Sweden.
Well,
I'm not joking. Sweden right now, it's either daily grenade attacks or, as been recently the case, a Syrian, in quotation marks, because they're not allowed to use any other word apparently, was caught with 6 military-grade anti-tank rounds. Now the question is, where is the cannon? Because, anyways. I think I'm the odd one out because I come from Europe and we essentially have no rights to firearms right now.
Yeah, Europe.
Well, it depends on where you live. I know it's different in Norway and Switzerland, but for the most part, yeah. You're definitely more scared.
In 2015, Juncker passed a law for all EU nations to remove firearms from the citizens. And I shit you not, he said this when he was able to pass the law in the EU Parliament. I have now made Europe safe.
A
few months later, Merkel opens the border and that destroys everything.
The whole right to bear arms, the whole.
Wait, were you talking to me?
All of you guys, like, where do you guys stand on it?
Well, if I would stand that an individual who has no criminal record or mental illness should be deviated from owning a firearm within reasonable capabilities. For instance, if I would rather they become some kind of legal system, per se, the more experience or the more, let's say, a license you have to acquire a certain firearm, such as a semi-automatic rifle or a bazooka. Let's say if you want to be a business owner or a gun shop owner, or just an individual who's, let's say, well trusted or well regulated of forming weapons or having weapons, we should proceed to have these weapons. Just certain individuals, let's just say randomly you don't know and never has previously owned or been a part of any kind of militia, should just openly get a super automatic assault rifle. Not that I don't trust this individual in question. It's just perhaps a more experienced system than openly. And again, I'm not trying to abolish anything or anything like that, but again, you don't know most people, and of course, I think they should have firearms of various degrees. I don't mind the AR-15. I don't mind shotguns, rifles. I'm just thinking, especially in high populated areas, if you're more experienced or have a different, let's say, tier of license, you may buy whatever submachine gun of your choosing. But I think generally most individuals who are, let's say, mentally stable and don't have any criminal record should have essentially most firearms. I think it's fair and reasonable.
Yeah, I think that there's blanket agreement across all of us that the Second Amendment should be protected, that we all should be allowed to have guns. Hip hip hooray! One argument that I've heard, right, because people love to say guns don't kill people, death kills people, right? Or bad people kill people, right? Guns are an inanimate object, right? And the counter argument to that I heard was regarding wait, actually, I have it written down somewhere. Let me see. No, I guess I don't. Nuclear weapons, right? Because we allow people to have, like, what is the exact articulation as to why nuclear weapons should be banned, but that guns cannot, if nuclear weapons themselves don't kill people? You see what I'm saying? Because that kind of logic can be twisted against you.
Well, you have to consider
unlike a basic handgun, which you're firing a 9mm bullet at a specific target that you're aiming at, with a nuclear bomb, you have a large blast radius plus nuclear fallout, which won't go for the next few decades.
Yeah, because it's bad for environmentally, and also the fact that those things have the potential of killing thousands, if not even millions, depending on how big the nuclear tech is, how big it is. That's like one of the big things, like why I would say that nuclear bombs aren't protected.
Well, again, it comes down to firearms. These are firearms that we're talking about, not very expensive weapons of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're talking about firearms. We're talking about bare arms,
right?
Not
but
nuclear bombs.
The Second Amendment gives you the ability to bear arms. It never said firearms, so that's why people have, for example, the shooter in the most recent shooting had smoke grenades, for example, because we do have the right to bear certain explosive items. We have the right to bear flamethrowers, so it's not just firearms. We have a right.
Yeah, Elon Musk to thank
for that. So we have a right beyond firearms.
Yeah.
You got a point there.
Well, my point is, it's a different weapon of a caliber. I mean, especially in the year 1976, that they didn't know would ever existed. It's that we don't allow these individuals to require this kind of weapon to this magnitude, because it could literally end civilization, give or take enough of them. And then again, they need to emphasize what exactly they're talking about, because hypothetically, if you have the resources, you can build an unconventional nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to and I was a rich guy, okay, I'm not going to buy a fucking warhead for North Korea. But what's stopping me from just essentially just getting a bunch of scientists and did what they did in Dark Knight Rises and just build my own fucking nuclear bomb? It's just... Again, they have to make that clear. And to what magnitude are they talking about? We're talking about explosives to little boy. What are they meaning by that? It's just such a loosely defined argument. You know?
But when we're talking about magnitude, like, again, I point you to the most recent shooting where Nicholas Cruz, the shooter, tried to pull the fire alarm, hoping that people would dart towards the exits. He'd be waiting for them, and he would have mowed down over 100 kids had the people left their room. So when we're talking about magnitude, even his simple weapons could have killed hundreds and hundreds of people. So magnitude does not necessarily have to dictate all, because then a pistol could be banned if we're only arguing on magnitude.
It's not just magnitude purely. There's a couple different factors, but magnitude is probably the biggest, because the impact of a nuclear bomb is, if it was big enough, it could kill thousands of people, much more than a gun could kill alone by itself.
Well,
it could even also just be environmentally bad, because of the
Well, and I say, okay, difference in magnitude. Looking at these rifles, I would say to a nuclear bomb, it's like a boomstick. Hypothetically, I can just go jihad on people's asses and run over a shit ton of people. I can probably slit a bunch of people's at nighttime with a fucking butter knife. I'm just talking about nuclear weapons, especially like the Tsar bomb, could essentially threaten the Earth's existence itself.
Yeah, that's also another thing.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to advocate any laws against. I just think that maybe some kind of definition to what exactly are they talking about by nuclear weapon is in order if they're just going to make that argument, you know?
Well, to give from the European perspective, as I will, in Germany, it's virtually impossible right now to get any form of firearm, not only from Junkers, but from Merkel herself. However, the funny thing is, there is no law stopping me from getting any cannon.
Then again, a lot of people don't have access to cannons. That'd be pretty fucking great if you had a hold of a cannon.
Very easy access to a cannon.
I have an unrelated.
What kind of cannon? If I may ask.
2 centimeter Flak, 88 millimeter, and a bunch of Swiss cannons. Not Swiss, Swedish. Sorry.
I have an unrelated question here. Z, in the UK, they have like a complete ban on knives. Is there anything similar in Germany? Like they restrict things beyond guns? Because you're saying you can own a cannon, but what about like blades, swords?
I don't know the exact ramification of what you can own in Germany, but I know you can.
I can be. Yeah, this is the stupid thing. They're not fully outlawed, but right now Merkel had passed a law a couple years back, which, long story short, simply punishes anyone who uses above minimal force in self-defense. So, translation, if you use anything beyond your fist in self-defense, you can be charged with assault, even if the person is attacking you. So, that means a knife, braces, whatever is the telescopic batons, pepper spray, mace, all of this, despite being technically legal, albeit some types of maces are illegal because of the chemicals that they use. Yeah, I will be legally charged with assault.
I wanted to quote on Germany's weird kind of gun law, because they are legal weapons of self-defense you can have, and one of these, to the best of my knowledge, are rubber bullets and mace. You can legally own that in some proximities. Like I've seen weapon shop in Germany where they have certain variations of myths, let's say baseball bats you can buy. It's quite pathetic to what we have in the United States, but I know some form of legal defense.
Merkel found a solution from this by essentially making it illegal for you to use any of these in self-defense. Like you can buy these, you can hang these, but you cannot use them.
So basically just worthless in a sense.
Yeah.
It's essentially this humanitarian lay down until somebody saves you, like the police or something. I know, and then this Europe is afraid, and they're sensible. Let's take Germany for instance. Less than 70 years ago, let's see, 73, the Holocaust was committed. A global conflict that killed over 70 million people was just less than 100 years ago. A lot of these individuals are still alive. They're absolutely traumatized by the fact that they happened. And a lot of people point, if Hitler didn't invade Poland, then the other Ally Axis powers wouldn't try to did what they did, because Germany was one of the most legitimate, powerful armies that they could have to essentially pursue whatever they wanted or dominate the world. Just Europe, it's sensible. It's not. Okay, United States, well, if you look at us, we fucking won the Civil War. We did all these technological advances. We have a lot to historically be happy about. And like the most inhumane thing that you can get on America for is, and it's slavery. It's abusive of human rights towards other minorities, such as the blacks in the Deep South. But we legitimately had in our own country, did everything in our power to give them equal rights amongst its civilians. We're hailed as the saviors. I wouldn't say saviors, but honestly, if you could brag to, let's say, a fucking alien, you will point to the fucking United States.
Yeah.
Okay, Germany in Europe, they don't see that. They've been littered in famine, death, and wars for thousands of years now. They don't have the same history as we do, and they don't patriotically view their country as the same way. They view themselves as fucking monsters and imperialistic individuals because they don't legitimately.
Sorry for interrupting, and I can say from a first-hand experience with people that I met over there, they are sick and tired of this. They want to become like the US. We want to be able to protect ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why they're so sensitive to their gun laws. They just legitimately fear their past, and they don't trust themselves.
That's why they copy legislation from Adolf Hitler.
Oh yeah, well, Hitler,
I'm not messing with you. Merkel has passed laws which are almost word by word the exact same as Hitler's.
I know, I'm not offended. That's just part of my vocabulary. I wasn't angry or anything, but well, Germany's kind of mirrors on the lines of borderline socialism, and we got to consider that the Nazis were nationalist socialists. So rather, if they would like to admit it, some of their beliefs, like some of their companies, such as the Volkswagen. Hitler had a lot to do with that in other countries. A lot of their legislation is still similar to Hitler. Like our modern militaries, it is kind of based off.
I gave some time ago in the Twitter chat a quick explanation of German history and why the government is so fucked up. In simple terms, the big problem with the German government is that it's a giant hodgepodge of multiple governments. Like currently, the Republic of Germany. Already alone, it's two separate governments. It's the East German government and the West German government. And the West German government was just simply left to try to be formed from the governments that were created by the British, French, and Americans.
Yeah.
We were just left to try to figure out on our own. And of course, we don't know what an election is because we sadly had the Kaiser.
Yeah,
we always need a Führer.
Yeah, democracy isn't something that the Germans are used to, especially after the First World War. But another thing, they didn't recently have their whole country together until after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So, you know.
Oh, they still don't have it ever, even after
They don't?
Huh. East Germany is the poorest part of Germany because essentially Merkel has essentially stopped any form of continuation between the two governments. So as much as the media likes to propose the Republic, the Deutsche Republic of Germany, there is still West Germany and East Germany. And East Germany is struggling right now, mainly because not only are they economically behind, like parts of Russia are because of the Soviet Union, they are also heavily behind because Merkel decided to flood the entirety of East Germany with migrants.
Okay. Can I pause this little conversation? Rational Outlaw, you're being really quiet. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys can keep talking about.
Let's ignore this whole thing and let's go back to the guns.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Because do you guys want to talk about the shooting, or are you all already fully informed on the shooting? Because I have all of the details right now.
I don't know the exact factual linguistics of what happened. I don't know every single way he killed someone. I don't know every round that was shot. But the actions that has transpired, I am certainly aware of.
I know about the deputy thing, the FBI situation, and the fact that he was tipped off even 1 year ago at the potentials, and then once again at 6 weeks. And then I just got an interesting fact about Israel, which goes into the whole gun control thing.
Yes. Okay. So does anyone, because I'm kind of interested in summarizing this, laying it all out for you guys. Are you guys interested in that or?
Before I think there's a very relevant, let's say, opportunistly way the left is using this. And particularly there's this one kid that they're using. I don't know his name. It's like some kind of activism group was in the school that was particularly anti-Trump. And they are constantly using, let's say, children as fucking political activists and to go argue against adults, such as Marco Rubio, which, in all fairness, I don't mind that these kids are up there asking questions, but he's reaping the benefit of his dead friends to essentially, let's say, compare fucking Marco Rubio to the same individual who went and shot everyone in there. He's essentially going up to anyone who has a disagreement and painting them as a fucking monster. And he's saying, how dare you do not conform, or how, like how he started this. He was like, oh, I feel very hard to shake your hands because you support da-da-da-da-da, but I'm going to do it anyway. And remember, guys, this isn't a left and right parallel. He's essentially being a colossal fucking asshole. And then he ranted for like 20 fucking minutes about how dare you take money for the NRA? God damn it, the NRA is not, they are I don't have the exact definition of what they are, but generally they promote self-defense. Like, they help blacks protect themselves from the Ku Klux Klan by training them to use weapons to defend themselves from the Klan. They are largely a civilian organization. They had anything to do with this kid. They didn't train him. They didn't give him this weapon. They didn't conspire. They have nothing to do with this. And this kid is using this event to essentially politically slander the NRA. Yeah. They are not a majorly funded organization. And then he said, okay, even looking at the financials of how much money Marco Rubio received from the NRA, he only received $10,000 out of a fucking $25 million campaign. And that is like what, less 0.1%. And then the NRA, they are essentially a group. Yes, they're dedicated to rifles. They're dedicated to self-defense and upholding rights. They are not in any way a major, let's say, political factor as they are portrayed and laid out to be. And again, to use the deaths of your friends to try to label the other individuals as literal child murderers, that if you go to a debate, you must establish that your side does not, or who you're arguing, is lacking any ill content. There are individuals who have a different solution. And that in itself isn't a monstrous thing. You can't just sit there, wave and write, well, how dare you do this? My friends are there. My childhood is lost. Yes, everyone's affected by these tragedies. But you're not the only opinion that matters. And you can't label, again, as monsters. And everyone there is just a fucking corporatist conspiring against you, training these murderers to do X, Y, and Z. For the most part, the NRA
had a similar case in my own school.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to remember. There was something similar. Some student was using some tragedy.
Well, again, like Steph McFarlane commented on the following, and he said, "Looks like conservatives are scared of the new tactics that's being used against them." No, we're not. They're just fucking children. What are you gonna do?
That guy. I hate him so much.
Okay, they cannot consent. They cannot vote. This kid can't even drive a fucking car, and he's like some kind of political activist, like in a suit and everything.
Oh, just look at Wales. They just recently passed a law that allows 16-year-olds to vote.
Really?
Where?
Wales.
No.
The only place where if you go to the countryside, there's a good chance of finding someone fucking a sheep, and that's why when I was in the UK, I avoided Wales.
Oh, no. Oh.
Yeah, but I'm just going to try to finish my point. It's absolutely all right to bring somebody who's traumatized and experienced such, a harsh thing. Like, I imagine to some extent the kid is traumatized to some extent, but he is obligated within himself to treat his opposition with respect. And this goes for anyone else who wants to handle a common issue and, as was the front line of this tragedy, but you have to treat your side with respect. And I don't like that they're using our child or children to go fucking push the ultimate moral argument. How dare you don't do this for the children? Are you going to deny the children? Look at the children, goddammit!
The children.
Yes, and they're essentially using the ultimate argument of children that are traumatized to go push their legislation. And
Yes.
CNN dedicated a shit ton of resources to this.
Yes.
All right,
yes.
Oh.
this is a left movement to push these fucking children to go argue these arguments
I got the kid's
against the
name.
goal. You do? What's his name?
David Hogg.
David Hogg.
And
Yeah.
then there's the bisexual, shaved head, skinhead one, whatever you want to call it.
I thought she was just a lesbian.
Something. She's supposedly bi. I don't know. They keep on either putting bi or lesbian, but that's not
Well,
important.
don't remember, guys. Heterosexuality is the devil. Okay, go on.
Oh boy.
Oh, now I remember
what's
what I forgot.
interesting is the think of the children fallacy has been used so much that it has its own wiki.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I have to search this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But when you mean that it has its own wiki, does it have to do with the Simpsons episode which
No,
started the whole
it has
show?
its own Wikipedia page.
Okay, think of the children.
Huh.
Okay, so can we
I
talk
got
about the shooting.
I got one which is showing the Simpsons episode that I was talking about, and apparently there's a game on Steam called Think of the Children. Rated 7 out of 10 at $10.
Oh, and what were you gonna say, Sam?
Can we start talking about the shooting? Because
Yeah, we can.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
thought
We've
we
been
were already
stonewalling you
talking
for like
about
20
this.
minutes. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
just had to rant about the children.
okay, so I'm gonna stop at when I stop at some certain points. We're gonna ask for your comments. So
Yeah,
be prepared. 'cause
yeah,
some
go
of this
ahead,
is
man. We're ready.
really okay. So, family members and friends contacted the FBI twice, and the FBI didn't do anything. I'm gonna actually read you a testimony from the FBI, like what they heard in the near future. But wait, FBI tipped off twice. Broward County Police Force was tipped off 39 times. They went to his house upwards of 20 times in the past month. And every time the family kept saying, well, you know what? Because Nicholas Cruz, the guy who was the shooter, his mother had died very recently. His mother had died like within the month. And every time that there was like domestic abuse and then the police arrived at the scene, then his grandma would say, oh, well, you know what? He just lost his mother, so we don't want to press any charges. Then we get into the shooting, which, as we all know, he had smoke grenades, he had a smoke mask, he had an AR-15, he had tons of ammunition in his backpack. He was previously expelled from that school because he was like a violent influence and he was a negative influence and he was not allowed on campus. Now, there was one campus security guard who was armed. He was an armed campus security guard. And just keep a note, the shooting went on for about 8 minutes. And for about 4 of those minutes, nobody went in to stop it. Not even the campus security guard. He waited outside of the school. Nobody really knows why. He waited outside the school. And then 3 more police officers from the local police force came to the school, and then they waited outside the school. And everyone, all 4 different police officers waiting outside the school for the majority of the shooting. People are dying inside, 17 people dead, and 10 plus more are injured. 4 police officers waiting outside of the school did nothing until a police force from a neighboring county came in, and then they all went in, and then they tried to track him down, Nicholas Cruz, but he removed his gas mask, he removed his backpack, dropped everything, the AR-15, and supposedly changed his outfit, then ran out to the football field where every one of the students was also running out, and he kind of blended in with the crowd, disappeared, went to Starbucks, went to McDonald's, and then the police finally brought him in for questioning. They didn't even know it was him. They're like, hey, we need questioning on you since you were one of the people who was probably close to it. And the moment they brought him in for questioning, then he confessed. And the one thing I'm wondering is, why did he confess? Like, he basically got away. Thoughts?
McDonald's.
well,
it
again-
was too good.
Yeah.
It convinced
Well,
Robert
that-
Downey Jr. to give up drugs.
Well, again, he's a child who's mentally unstable. Like he must have been scared shitless, honestly. And being brought into questioning, I don't think he could have held himself back. You know, you just committed a monstrosity. And again, he was high on some kind of, or was he under the influence of any drugs? Do you know that?
No, but apparently he had some type of mental issues and he was being treated by a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Again, some kind of mental illness. People, again, they're naturally not brave, and committing such a thing, and then being at his age with some kind of mental illness, and then having the police in his presence, you're not thinking straight. And I think perhaps some kind of realizing the magnitude to some extent of what he just done probably guilted him, or the fact that he would eventually be found, but the fear instead it, or guilt, and he confessed to it. I heard stories of this one guy who murdered a old guy. I think he was his assistant. Those old nursing homes, and the guy, before he died, he yelled. The old man. So the police came. They asked him questions, and the guy was saying, "Oh, I was having nightmares and everything." They generally believed him. They asked him if we can come in and have a drink, and then he just confessed, because they perceive that. Or he perceived that they already know that he committed the murder, and he knew that they were just bullshitting, or he was just bullshitting them. So,
Yeah, I don't know, because if you're planning all this out, right, to legally buy an AR-15 and illegally somehow acquire a gas mask and gas grenades, and you have all this ammunition strapped to you, I would feel he would be a lot more mature. I feel it was like an Adam Lanza type thing. Since Columbine, a lot of people want to be in the news or something. I feel like it was more of a wanting attention type thing than it was a cracking, because you can't plan something so elaborate. He literally changed outfits, blended in with the crowd, disappeared, and got away. He got away. I feel he's too emotionally mature to have had a breakdown.
Again, it doesn't matter how emotionally mature you are. When you murder 17 people, most people would feel guilty about that. The kid, it could be completely possible that somebody with more available resources or know-how got him that. And, again, if this was some kind of fame issue, I think he would have just surrendered, or took some kind of mugshot and try to make it more clear, rather than going off running and hiding, that he was essentially this individual. I think when the police got to him, he probably went into panic mode, or he felt so much guilt that he confessed. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Okay. Did anyone, Rational Outlaw, do you have any thoughts? Oh wait, his mic is muted. Where'd he go?
Sorry, I was doing something really quickly.
Oh, he's pooping. Okay. Do you have any thoughts?
No, I do not.
Okay. And Z, do you have any thoughts?
I would just think that it might have to relate with the death of his grandmother. Was it? No, his mother.
His mother died. Yeah.
Were they close? Do we know any knowledge on that potentially?
Supposedly they were close, but also during one of those 39. Oh, what's that sound? During one of those 39 different visits to his house, apparently he was found with his hand around his mother's neck, like he was physically assaulting her. So I don't even. It's such a
okay. So that destroys my argument.
I don't even. Okay, I'm just gonna read the FBI tipster. Okay, New York Times came out with FBI tipster Adam Goldman, and his testimony was, this guy Nicholas Cruz has the mental capacity of a 12 to 14-year-old. His mother has just passed away. On Instagram, Nicholas Cruz is posting messages saying he wanted to kill himself, and then after a couple weeks, he started posting that he wants to kill other people. His Instagram had tons of photos of him with guns, and alongside those photos of him with guns were these little captions like, "Oh, I want to go kill people." So he pulled a gun on his own mother in the past. Yes, and his mother's life.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like. Okay, yeah. That really destroys my argument, because honestly, I have a pretty shit relationship with my father, and I have a pretty strong relationship with my mother, and I could see that if I lose my mother at a couple years ago.
You'd shoot up a school?
Well,
not shoot up, but honestly, I'm that person who's like, no, shooting up a school is too boring. I know explosives.
Okay. Another important point.
But that's my logic on what I was thinking, that if he had a very close relationship with his mother, mental disorder, losing a close connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
this
his
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, his mother's life insurance policy was supposedly going to give him $25,000 a month. $25,000 a month. He stole his mother's credit card in order to buy that AR-15, the gun, and all of the ammo. He was kicked out of multiple schools in the past, and again, his Instagram had tons of warning signs. But the FBI ignored it. And the immediate conservative reaction to this from a lot of outlets like Breitbart was the FBI was too busy with their fake Russia dossier to actually investigate this. And a lot of people got upset when a lot of conservatives started saying that. So
yeah, that's why I stay away from preconceived notions. And indoctrination of one belief is an indoctrination of one belief. But try to get back to what you said regarding his relationship with his mother. A lot of your notorious serial killers, all right, was some kind of abusive relationship with their mother. I forget his fucking name, but he murdered 17 women and then he slit their throats and he did a bunch of terrible things. He raped them, but he was very pissed off at his mother. He had an abusive relationship with his mother. And then one of the last women he killed was his mother. And he essentially got bored with himself and he turned himself into jail. So, abuse. So when you have a male being abused by your mother and his life is because he must have had some serious fucking abuse to have a mental condition, and then plus all that shit, it must have contributed to this, the abuse.
Yeah.
And that's good.
By the way, he had no fatherless home, and
same thing, like the guy who committed those atrocities.
Yeah, and his defense attorneys are coming out and saying he is autistic and depressed. He has depression, he has autism, and supposedly he was on medication.
Oh, boo-hoo, I'm depressed, and I was able to build a nuclear trigger and not kill anyone.
Yeah, and
hey,
he was
Stalin had a family.
Yeah, so psychotropic drugs. Yeah, one family member says he was prescribed psychotropic drugs, he's depressed, and he's autistic. So there you go. You got the triple threat. There you go.
The only problem is
autism
is never had a correlation with any of that, and depression can only sometimes, but most of the times you want to hurt yourself.
Yeah, but Adam Lanza was autistic.
Yeah, but autism is not linked to murdering people or anything like that. In fact, the vast majority of people who have mental disorders, they are not likely to commit crimes like that. In fact, they're more likely to be victims of crime rather than commit crimes themselves.
Right, but a lot of these shooters, like these mass shooters, I'm not saying like every autistic person commits crime, but when it comes to mass shooters, we've seen a lot of them have autism.
We've also seen a lot of Antifa have autism.
Though, because I don't think all of them have been officially diagnosed, because when some, when some news stations have a psychologist come on and say, "Oh, he probably had autism," they can't say that.
I agree with you. That's okay. So I have a Down syndrome brother, a legitimate person who has a mental disability. All right, shit. And he, fuck. Okay. Sorry, this damn notification came up in the middle. But as I was saying, his mental abilities will not can factor much into how he acts. He can be happy, he can be sad. Generally, for the most part, if he wants something, he's going to get it. If he's going to do X, Y, and Z, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. And he damn well knows the consequences. And again, he's more of an extreme case because he has Down syndrome. Not only is he mentally altered, he's physically altered. But even he can consent to what he's doing.
Yeah. Did someone new join the?
No. Okay. Now, does it look? God damn it! What's going on? Okay.
Cancer.
Okay. Okay. Woody Guthrie on the screen. The guy smoking.
I don't know. Yeah. So wait, who's this new guy? Is he going to introduce himself?
Of cancer.
Is he going to introduce himself?
I think so. All that I remember is that every time he introduces himself, he's gonna be screeching.
No,
screeching.
Oh,
okay, there you go.
What are we talking about?
Okay, wait. let me can I summarize it for him, guys, or do you guys want to do that instead?
No, dude, go for it. You seem like to be one of the most factually informed individuals. I trust this to you.
Okay. So, Mr. Cancer, we're talking about the Parkland shooting with Nicholas Cruz. Nicholas Cruz, his defense attorneys have come out and said he suffers from depression. He suffers from autism. Family members have come out and said he has no father. He was on psychotropic drugs. Also, I didn't mention this, but he was found shooting chickens, like live chickens, with one of his guns in the past. The FBI was tipped off twice about him. And in those testimonies, they said he has the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. His mother just passed away. On his Instagram, he's talking about he wants to kill himself. He wants to kill other people, so on and so forth. 4 cops were at the scene of the crime, of the shooting, and they did not go into the school for upwards of 5 minutes. Broward County, the local police force, was tipped off about him. There was domestic abuse, and people were calling the police 39 different times, and never once did they arrest Nicholas Cruz because his family members did not want to press charges because Nicholas Cruz just lost his mother, which means he has no mother and no father, depression, autism, psychotropic drugs, kills chickens, posting on Instagram he wants to kill people, and posting on Instagram he has tons of guns, stole his mother's credit card to buy these guns, and smoke bombs, and a gas mask, and tons of rounds of ammo. After the shooting, he dropped all of that, changed clothes, disappeared into the crowd, escaped, went to McDonald's, went to Starbucks, was brought in for questioning, not actually a suspect, and then, yeah.
Cancer, you joined twice.
Did he miss?
Dude, I'm impressed. That's like reality warping.
I know. Did
My
Cancer
computer crashed on me.
Oh, did you miss part of that? What part did you miss?
I don't know. I just heard a bleh, and we
Well, anyways, we're talking about the Florida shooting, and
Okay.
I don't think we need to repeat it again.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat it.
No,
Let's not do that. Okay, so next piece of information for discussion. So Colton Hab, 17-year-old member of ROTC, during the shooting, he pulled upwards of 90 different students from the hallways into a classroom after the shooting started. He barricaded the door as gunshots were ringing outside. And he said, quote, "I knew if he broke the window, he was coming in. And if he was coming in that room, I was going to stop him with everything I had or die trying." Colton Hab has also, post-shooting, said that CNN tried to have him come out with like a pre-written question and that he didn't want to do that, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So Colton Hab has not gotten a lot of media attention at all, even though he literally is a hero. Another person who hasn't gotten a lot of media attention is the person who actually arrested Nicholas Cruz, not at all being interviewed. Instead, all these interviews are with a bunch of young kids that were actually across the school and not at all affected from the shooting. So Colton Hab...
So wait, the people that they're talking to or having in it are not even involved in the shooting at all?
People at the town hall? Like the CNN town hall?
Like the kids that are speaking that have been...
Yeah, the kids at the CNN town hall and such were actually like across the school. And the people who are actually there, like Colton Hab, for example, and the police officer who was arresting him, like some of the people speaking at the town hall, like were in classrooms nearby, but never once came into direct contact with Nicholas Cruz. Some of them were literally across the school, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying all of them were across the school. I'm saying some of them were across the school. All of them did not actually have like direct contact with Nicholas Cruz. And the people who did, Colton Hab and the police officer, are not being interviewed. It's just weird that CNN is picking up a bunch of kids that weren't actually, involved.
It's almost like they don't want to actually do any real reporting.
Yeah, they just
Who would suspect such a thing?
Here's the thing, though, about CNN. Do you want to know how desperate they are for views and ratings? So this doesn't happen anymore, but what used to happen was there was this crank caller whose name was Captain James, and he was part of the Howard Stern show, and these people are stupid. Every time that he called them, they fell for it. And eventually at the point where he just basically splat out, and from what I understand, he died choking on Howard Stern's ball sack. And then there was another one that said, "Well, can you tell us more about it?" And this guy says, "You're a real dumbass." That's how desperate CNN is. They will literally fall for fake callers and crank callers because they want the views and ratings.
I think I saw that one.
I would say they're more of a political motivational machine, releasing hit pieces, kind of just a propaganda machine, posting and releasing to the best of their abilities left propaganda to further their agendas. They're
not sure
not a
about-
legitimate news
Well,
source.
I'm not sure
Well,
about
at
the,
least they're an opinionative news source, not dedicated to, let's say, journalism, or at least giving an honest third-party perspective of the situation. They're here to push narrative.
Do we know if the news sources like CNN, MSNBC, like they are still profitable? Because I know like all the major newspapers, pretty much.
I
don't
are not
trust
profitable.
either one
I
of the news
posted in the
networks.
chat. I think Lord of Cancer saw this. MSNBC recently screwed up by trying to convince people that a shotgun was an AR-15 during a whole
Oh yeah,
thing
I remember that.
on gun debate, on gun control.
Hmm.
So yeah, desperation.
Desperation to the max. And I don't want to rag on CNN too much, because a lot of these updates are coming from CNN. And you can argue they're only coming from CNN because otherwise MSNBC would have reported it, competition, yada, yada, yada. But that part that I mentioned about 4 police officers waiting outside the school for upwards of 5 minutes before going inside, 17 casualties, 4 police officers not even attacking the shooter, just let him do the shooting. CNN reported that. CNN is reporting a lot of the information that I'm coming at you with, that makes it, you know? So-
My reasoning on that is that they finally realized that it turns out lying to the public who has to pay for you isn't the best option in the long term.
Hmm.
So I've seen them do once in a while genuine reporting. And then there's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think with CNN and multiple news sites, I mean, in Germany we have Deutsche Welle, and oh boy, that's a completely terrible news source. It's like CNN times 10.
Oh, I used to get DW on our old cable. Well, when I was at my old house, we get that quite a bit. And I think there was one time during the World Cup way back in 2006 that I think the journalists from DW were getting arrested. I was like, I don't remember what they were getting arrested, but you know, when journalists from cable news networks are getting arrested, it means they fucked up.
Hmm.
Anyways, as of February 27th,
What was that?
Yeah, that was weird.
What was what?
Whatever.
we're getting the Dark Lords through him.
Okay.
As of February 2017, Deutsche Welle was officially bought by the Merkel administration. No, the quick thing that I wanted to point out is that it looks like the majority of media right now is following the formula that Goebbels put out in the 1920s, which is tell a small enough lie, keep on repeating it, and they will eventually believe you.
It sounds like, you know how you said that they're bought by the Merkel administration? It almost sounds like Putin's Russia. Does that not
I
sound
don't
like
trust Putin.
Me either.
I don't think anyone
you know,
really-
I heard the old saying, "The devil will tell you 1,000 truths to convince you of one lie," and I think, you know, they have their facts, they have their information, but they use it to fabricate lies and get you to believe them.
Well, the best lie is one that has a little bit of truth to it.
Yeah, it's a bad situation.
Yeah.
So do we want to continue on to your next point you were going to say?
Yeah, I was gonna go on to my next point. So, Colton Hab, ROTC kid, saved 90 different students at the school. He used like a Kevlar mat. Kevlar is like the bulletproof type stuff. He used a Kevlar mat to shield children during the shooting. That's another thing. So he's literally a hero because he saved upwards of 90 students using Kevlar that was provided by the ROTC. And basically, when he came out and said, CNN wanted me to use scripted questions, and CNN said, no, we didn't. That kid's a liar. And now that's developed into this la-di-da, right? But that's not even like the biggest scandal. The biggest scandal is city manager Mike Goodrum, okay, of the neighboring county, I guess would be the best way to explain it. How do I explain this in a nice way. Steve Israel, I think that's the guy's name. He was the sheriff of Broward County.
That's right.
You know about this?
I know the name. I don't really know the full scenario
So
because
here's the
my
bombshell.
internet is terrible.
Yeah. Here's the bombshell. So Steve Israel, he was chewed out. He was scolded. He was reprimanded by the city manager, who basically said, "Wow, you had 4 police officers and you told them not to go inside the school. This allowed Nicholas Cruz to kill 17 people and then disappear and make it all the way to fucking McDonald's. If you sent those 4 people in, it would have stopped the shooter." So he's getting chewed the fuck out. Steve Israel chewed out like hell. Okay, and then
2 hours ago. Sorry for interrupting. 2 hours ago, there was something on Twitter showing up a video of how he's claiming it's not his responsibility. He gave the guns, he gave the badge, he gave the uniform. That's his exact words.
I'm getting to the bombshell being he's being chewed out, and his immediate response after being chewed out for this is to go on CNN, and he went on CNN, and then he started chewing out Dana Lash, who is a spokesperson for the NRA, and he basically said, "The blood of these children is on your hands. You're a terrible person. We need a ban on all semi-automatic weapons," so on and so forth.
Oh, God damn it.
And it's like huge misdirection and a cover-up of him being responsible. So that's a bombshell right there in of itself. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, shit. I was gonna say something pretty fucking profound, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Again, so this individual in question, this officer, I think he's currently barricaded in his house, and he's constantly receiving death threats from parents and victims themselves. And I think that he is still receiving some kind of financial benefit from the police association. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, he's currently probably living the rest of his life in incognito, at least for a while now. Because again, let's look at police tactics. All right, if this was a different situation, all right, let's just say the cop walks in and he grabs a hostage. All right, it's not preferable that you go and you start shooting, especially if that kid isn't shooting back. Or let's just say there's some gang members in a house who are armed and you want to wait for backup. Again, this is a completely different situation. You're talking about a fucking kid that's playing fucking GTA and killing fucking a lot of people with an assault rifle, committing this massacre. Regardless of what you feel for your safety, it's your job to go in and stop it, to put your life on the line. That's what you signed up for. And yes, regardless of what you think was going through his mind or what he was doing, he should have went in there as he was contracted to do and start fucking looking for this guy. Mm-hmm. He could have, easily. His cowardly action, for let's face it, this isn't any kind of regulation or anything that he was supposed to abide by. He just fucking cowered out. And again, as I wanted to get into, these individuals wanting to fucking legislate shit are relying on these same individuals that failed them to go do so. So who's the most impractical? The fucker who, let's say, tried to ban all assault rifles and all this, by the same individuals that did not literally protect you as they were fucking standing outside, if I may ask, or the FBI that couldn't see this many red flags. You know, they're not being brought here. The CNN isn't doing shit about them. Which, again, the ultra hypocrisy. Why is Rubio up there? Why not the FBI director of Florida? Again, why is it this guy who cowered out not being on trial for his coward reactions? As you stated. Again, this isn't fair to blame it on simple civilians, law-abiding citizens, if I may add, on wanting to bear a firearm with more, let's say, firepower. Because of the many, guys like them, et cetera, military threats, or let's say there's some kind of flood or something happens, disasters happening, You live far out in the country, and you need more firepower to protect yourself. You can't literally just defend every part of your property. It's a fucking shit-tastic, what, Beretta? Again, there's more reasons of why we're arguing for this. Like, fucking anarchy happens, a hurricane happens, and what if multiple individuals need guns? Like the Florida riots? Like, you see those Asian store owners? They were fighting them off with machine guns that had more power because, again, the looters had also guns and multiple men that could have stormed these places if they did not have the proper firearms. And again, you're talking about individuals wanting to take or ban or legislate against them. They were incapable of protecting you. Why are you rushing to this solution? It's just so fucking
convenient. Because it's a convenient one. It's always been the convenient one to ban something and not to look the other way. Because prohibition worked in the 1920s in the US by just passing the legislation to ban alcohol.
Well, again, left, it's a very powerful political entity. It's one of the most powerful, especially in the United States. They have so many corporations, unions, Hollywood, all this shit in their pocket. And the main mindset of their strategy is that they can essentially legislate humanity's problems. All right? All those poor people living out Mexico, just like at Destiny, you wanted to fucking firebomb the cartels, just like firebomb Mexico and give them billions of dollars to go fucking fix themselves. Listen, again, it just goes to people are fucked up. Okay, Mexico's an absolute shithole, and doesn't matter how many fucking money you throw at it. Like, look at Saudi Arabia. They're one of the most richest countries in the world, and we all know that they're fun-loving humanitarians, right? But my point being, you can't legislate humanity's problems. You can't fix this. There's nothing you can do. Humanity will always have problems. Humanity will always have tragedy, and you cannot legislate this problem to save your life. Literally, to save people's lives. There's nothing you can do. People are fucked up. This is a hyperbolic civilization with 7 billion people on it. We can't fucking trust people to absolute collectivize, do all of this shit to try to legislate humanity's problems. Like, fucking look at the governments who tried. Like the absolute most extreme examples. Like in conformity to try to solve humanity's problems. Look at fucking Nazi Germany. Look at the Soviet Union. Look at most of these abusive groups in general. And we can't just keep giving them X, Y, and Z, because this particular problem of people doing shit and wanting to harm other people is a natural, let's say, to some extent, an instinct that humanity will have, especially multiply this by 7 billion. Someone's going to do something like this. And we can't start by taking away law-abiding citizens in this fucked up world the right to defend themselves. And especially rely on these inconfident individuals, I'm not suggesting anarchy to any extent, but we can't just super buddy hoping to God that they can fucking legislate this. They can't. And that does not begin with taking away people's rights. Even fucking bump stocks. Again, I'm curious. I can't see your full name. What is it? Warm? I don't think
warm
that...
potato. Warm potato.
Okay, warm potato. Again, I'm not factual. I can't provide for the life of me a factual reason to keep a bump stock. I'm not as well informed on bump stocks. I don't know X, Y, with Z with bump stocks. It's a recent, let's say, something I was recently informed upon, but essentially a spring or mechanism that allows rifles, to the best of my knowledge, to shoot more than they at a faster rate, right?
Yeah, they're temporarily automatic.
Yeah. So what's your thought on bump stocks? So, what would you do with bump stocks?
I could go either way. Like, personally, I like bump stocks. I don't think a bump stock was used in this case, so I don't know why it was brought up by the media. They brought up a lot of stuff. But
just a quick side note, I think that they just have this argument. Well, no one should own a submachine gun, or so no one should own like a fucking bazooka or a nuke. And I think they look at a bump stock and they think the same thing. But go on.
Yeah, a bump stock. If you overuse it, if you use it too roughly, too dramatically, like you would actually use it in a combat scenario, it won't work. It could jam, it could break, so on and so forth. So if they're pretending like you just automatic, it's like burst automatic, basically. So if they're pretending like you can just keep your stock bumped somehow and then just always have infinite ammo, infinite automatic ammo, and you never have to reload, it's outright silly. So the danger of bump stocks is largely over exaggerated. Should they be outlawed? I have no strong opinion.
I personally,
okay.
as I said, I'm almost an absolutist on the Second Amendment, so I feel that they shouldn't be. And quite frankly, I believe most weapons, one of the very few things, as I said, is nuclear weapons. That's about one of the few things I'm not for individual people having. As I said, I'm almost an absolutist on the second.
Yeah. But wait, what about the smoke grenades? Just so should smoke grenades be easily purchased at a gun store? Because I'm sure that part of the reason why the police did not go into the school was because of all those smoke grenades. They didn't want to get shot through the smoke.
Yeah. Well, again, smoke grenades, they can be used for multiple purposes. You can use it for pyrotechnics. You use it for the 4th of July. I think a while back I bought some kind of colorful little smoke grenades. Again, like for instance, the First World War, France, they used tear gas because tear gas wasn't exactly a deadly lethal weapon. And the Germans perceived that they were gassing the shit out of them, and that's why they used actual chemical warfare against them. You know? Because in the end, it's just smoke. A smoke grenade, it's not necessarily a harmful weapon. It's just how it's used, I guess. The worst, I don't imagine, unless if they're going to do what they did, shoot up a bunch of people. Like what's the worst you can use it for? Throw it at a highway? Shit, I'm just spitballing here. Generally, it's not a harmful thing, You can misuse it. I think it's completely illegal to go up to some fucking restaurant and say, "Hey, assholes," and then throw in a smoke grenade.
Yeah.
Even though it's not harmful, but that would, emotional stress. Not knowing if you're going to get shot down. Like I know I had a buddy that was arrested for carrying a laser pointer, and then here's what he did. He went and he signed it in on like a very important priest or something, and like the priest thought he was going to get assassinated.
What did you back into?
Again, I don't think they're harmful. And I wouldn't legislate against smoke. Like hell, the kid could have brought a fucking smoke screen. Generally, you see the same thing, right?
Okay.
Let's face it, the answer for grenades is quite simple. Explosives are fun.
Okay. Is that guy Cancer still on the stream?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just went and got some mate.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna add in another fact. This is like a small one. Okay. Did any of you read the New York Times published an article that basically, post-shooting, we've seen the Democrats come out with their classic talking points. We need to increase taxes on gun purchases to decrease the amount of profits in the gun industry, so on and so forth. But the New York Times came out with their own proposal that credit card companies should block purchases of firearms.
That's gonna work.
Oh,
again,
we're just gonna go to the black market instead.
Yeah. Again, this is a legal purchase they're doing. They're not doing anything legally wrong if they have the right license, et cetera, to go buy these weapons. They're essentially using a form of socialism. This is command fucking economy. We're not going to give you the money to do X, Y, and Z if you buy what we deem illegal. Yeah, this is exactly a government command economy are demanding X, Y, and Z. Well, you can't buy X, you can't do this with the market. If you're literally going to have companies that or businesses deny you the right to purchase something. It's like, God damn it, such utopias rhetoric. Let's just go fucking fix Mexico. It's just.
Yeah, trust me, we tried to do that with Libya. It did not work.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, Libya has found itself be fixing itself quite well.
Well, there's also
I got
this country called what was it? Vietnam. My grandpa bitches a lot about it. So, you know.
Oh god, I literally have a short Twitter reply thread over here of a similar logic. So the names are blurred out. I cannot read you the names. Ban assault rifles and high magazine weapons, or IMA, because we all know this is a sign of intelligence when you write IMA. Buy a rocket launcher and carry that bitch everywhere. This person replies, this makes no sense though, rocket launchers are illegal. He replies with, not on the black market. So then this guy just replies with the best thing. So basically what you're saying is that gun control doesn't work. Because it was.
Yes. I would like to purchase my tiger right next to that cooking, slow roasting woman you have over there.
Yeah. You know, my thought on this, you guys went in a completely different direction, because my thought when I read that article by the New York Times, credit card companies should block any gun purchase. My first thought was this is going to lead to some banks being outright like liberal, and they're like, well, yep, we're going to block gun purchases. And other banks are going to be like the conservative banks. And this would only serve to like polarize people dramatically, because some banks would be like, yep. And it'd be a selling point that they approve these credit card purchases for guns. Like you would polarize business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and again, these are legal purchases. They're not doing anything wrong. Like, why would you give a business, especially a credit card company, the right to do this? Oh, God, I need to buy a better, let's say, a fucking car or something. You can't. You're fucking conservative. Pick it up, bitch, and walk.
Let's face it. While that's happening, we all know that they're going to give out an extended loan on someone who can barely walk out of their bed.
Well, no, essentially, companies with opinions, all right, agendas, can legislate against those who they disagree with and take away their financial abilities to purchase things.
Oh my god.
That's insane. Just fucking think about it. Would you fucking give Wall Street or fucking CNN the ability to go censor you online? No, I'm talking about like absolute fucking authoritarianism. To go,
Oh, fuck no.
yeah, use their
Actually,
wealth.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit. I do have something funny. So recently I had to get a new internet security because I wasn't willing to pay the huge prices for McAfee. So I got Kaspersky again. One of the good things is that with internet security, you got ad blockers. And it's hilarious to check out these websites with ad blockers because the desperation in the message for you to remove the ad blockers just makes your day. I don't even read the article anymore. I just wait for the message to pop up.
Oh my god.
So anyways,
Hey guys, an ad just popped up. You reminded it.
Okay. Well, but I want to put a question towards cancer, because I'm not sure if cancer is like how hard Republican is he? Because certain hyper polarized Republicans, when I say like there'd be liberal
I'm
banks,
not a Democrat or
conservative banks.
Republican.
Okay, pause.
Well, George
So-
Bush, that's cancerous.
Here's my question.
Yeah, okay,
Here's my
go
question.
ahead.
If this ever was to happen, right? There were liberal
Uh-huh.
banks, conservative banks. Liberal banks are banning gun purchases, and conservative banks decided, guess what? The abortion pill you cannot pay with credit anymore. We are going to block purchases of the abortion pill by our banks. What would be your comment on that? Would you say tit for tat? Would you say evil? What's the thought?
Well, again,
What the fuck?
Cancer.
yes.
What?
I hear what you're saying. Again, I'm strongly as an
You asked
individual.
someone else.
I asked someone else.
Oh shit! I'm
It's
sorry.
not
I didn't hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
No, not Armenian. Argentinian.
Yes,
Did I
I am
say-
Argentinian and Chilean.
Okay, go ahead.
Yo soy argentino y chileno.
We only speak English here.
No so habla inglés.
Okay, what are your thoughts on that hypothetical?
It's a bank. They're not supposed to be getting into people's problems or politics. They are a bank. They're there to give loans and put your paychecks in. That's what they're there for. They're not there to make a political statement. They're just there to take your money and give you money.
Mostly take your money.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have a comment on that scenario?
Yeah, I do. Again, if it's legal within our society, regardless if I disagree with it or not, I'm not going to go all authoritarian on people's asses. Like, I'm a strong pro-life individual. You know, that pains me that our society's doing it, but it's not illegal, and I'm not going to just go break down the fucking house and throw them in the gulag or take away their financial ability to purchase something that is legal and lawful. That's just my simple on it. Yeah.
Okay,
So-
but if
Also,
if
the last terroristic thing done in the U.S. against anything that was abortion related was in 1982.
Wait, what?
he said the last abortion-related thing the U.S. did was back in 1982.
No, not abortion related. Attacks on abortion business.
Oh, attacks on abortion-related. There you go. Yeah.
Well, that's taxation. That's a whole different. Imagine there must be resources to abort, and taxation to those resources vary. So that would be who's ever distributing this, how they want to do X, Y, and Z. Don't have much thoughts on that. I was just talking about purchasing something that's legally and lawful. That's taxation is a completely different thing.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've gotten a firm enough answer on this. That if I started a bank and I just banned abortion pills from my credit rolls, would you guys like boycott both banks, or would you guys have to?
Honestly, I wouldn't care. All that I would do is find another bank. I mean, this is the free market. You piss off enough people, you lose enough money, you go out of business. Rinse and repeat.
Oh God, that argument. No, I've heard it before. It's a slippery slope. Do we have absolute rights with our? Well, then again, we're getting in the economy. I believe this is about guns, so maybe.
Right, sure.
Well, I get the point. I get why it's we're talking about it.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Go ahead.
The New York Times started this grand conversation just like off the cuff. There's like, ignore all economic policy. Let's just screw the gun industry by having credit companies brick wall them. It's silly. Okay, are you guys ready for me to move on to the next reaction to the shooting?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel if we continue this conversation,
Exactly right. Might make you laugh.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot his name earlier. The cop that ended up catching the shooter, I believe his name was Steve Williford. You're gonna have to double check me on that. Okay, so Lawrence O'Donnell, MSNBC. Oh, Critical Cracker joined the video call.
What's up, bitches?
Oh, hello, Critical Cracker. Are you? What's your political affiliation?
He's center right.
Libertarian with right leanings.
With right leanings? Should
He's
I?
center right, basically.
Does he know all about the shooting? Do I have to?
I know.
He knows everything. Huh?
I know this is really random, but do you guys want to help me troll the Colorado Springs socialist page on Facebook? Make sock accounts.
Okay, sure. Put a link in the chat. Okay. Okay.
I'm interested.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, listen. Socialist jokes don't work unless if everyone gets it.
Okay.
It's in my city, though. I'm like, ugh. Oh, here's also the Colorado Springs Antifa.
Okay.
Too.
Critical.
Let him speak, dude. Jesus.
Yeah. Critical Cracker. So do you want me to summarize everything we know about the shooting, or are you good?
I'm familiar with it.
Oh,
familiar with
dear
it?
God, this is the most regressive thing I've ever seen.
Okay, because I'll summarize it for you if you want me to while they're looking at that socialist thing.
Oh, hold on, guys. Hold on one second. I gotta.
What are we holding on for?
All right, there we go. I fixed it.
Okay.
I'm watching the stream and the chat.
And the chat. Oh, okay. Whatever you say. So do you want me to summarize it, or can I just progress
Hey,
on?
can you
We're
guys
golden.
still hear me?
Huh?
Yeah.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna get on to the thing. Okay, Lawrence O'Donnell, stop laughing. MSNBC. Lawrence O'Donnell. He came out and said the bullet of an AR-15 travels 3 times faster than the bullet of a handgun, and therefore
Oh god, that thing. What was that?
AR-15s should be banned.
3,000
I just had a brain
miles
aneurysm
per hour.
because of that stupidity.
Yeah. Okay. Even though whether it comes from a pistol or an AR-15, all bullets in America, at least, all of our firearms have supersonic speed. But he still said the AR-15 should be banned because the bullet travels 3 times as fast as a handgun. Thoughts?
Retarded.
Baluto.
Yeah. That's my thought, because he's trying to imply like you can dodge a pistol bullet, but you can't dodge an AR-15 bullet, even though they travel at the speed of sound.
Tell that
Can he
to every
dodge a 50
magician in
caliber
the
bullet?
1920s.
I want him to dodge a 50 caliber bullet.
Yeah.
See how well that works out.
It's terrible, and he is just one of the many people who are terribly uninformed on the issues and still coming out with their opinions. Plenty of people have come, huh?
Oh, nothing. Continue.
Plenty of people have come out and they've blamed video. What's that sound? Okay,
Oh,
let's go. Video games. People are blaming video games for the shooting. Nicholas Cruz, he was a gamer, not a huge gamer, but still a gamer.
No.
I think it's
Oh,
mostly.
no.
I don't know about the left, but I know there's. I think it's at least mostly the more conservative right.
Yeah, that's why it's on my radar that I noted this. A lot of people are blaming these video games like Grand Theft Auto 5, Call of Duty, so on and so forth. Because literally, he's throwing smoke grenades. He's got a gas mask with an AR-15 strapped to his chest.
Yeah,
with
that is suspicious.
You don't learn that when you're playing My Little Pony, Hello Kitty, Wonderland. You learn that playing Grand Theft Auto 5. You learn that playing Call of Duty. So I think they have
more
points.
Call of Duty than Grand Theft Auto 5.
The only problem.
If anything, through Grand Theft Auto 5, I learned how to fly a biplane.
Even if it does teach them something, there's like they try to say that there's evidence that video games cause them to commit mass shootings when in reality there's no evidence for that or for them to commit crimes. There's
The
so
only
much
thing
more
that I
evidence
know about
against
the
than
video games
they
being
say that
related
it's
to this mass shooting
What
was
that?
that Polygon. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, dude. Go ahead.
All that I was trying to say was that the only thing that I know about the shooting being related to video games and blaming video games as per usual was that Polygon, out of all places, came out. It's so sad that we are still blaming video games in 2018 and everyone is just putting, list of what they've posted in 2017, where they literally have an article blaming video games for violence.
I
So which
the media's just looking for
publication
a
did this again?
scapegoat. I'm sorry.
Polygon.
Yeah, the media is just looking for a scapegoat, and instead they should focus on, the FBI and the local PD that handled this case and didn't do anything. I think where I read the local PD visited this dude like 39 times in the span of like a few years or something, and it's just like he's a threat. Why does he have guns? Why didn't you do anything? And even the FBI came in and didn't do anything. It's just like it's all there, out in the open. Why are you dragging your feet? And I think this is a fail. The local police department failed, the FBI failed, and the media is just trying to cover it up. They're like, oh no, it's the big bad AR-15 that's the issue. Let's demonize gun owners and video game enthusiasts and not actually deal with the problem here of mental illness and, our government not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Or the fact that the 3 officers that were there, I think what I read, only one of them actually went in. The other 2 just sat outside.
Mm-hmm.
And, that they're cowards. And the media is downplaying it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, let's put them out. Let's show what they are. They are cowards. I'm willing to bet you if their kids were in there, they'd run in. But no, they didn't have any. They didn't care. They didn't care. If they would have cared, they would have gone in. They would have shot the perpetrator, and we wouldn't have 16 dead kids and a dead teacher.
Yeah.
They have bloods on their hands, and that's what pisses me off about this entire situation.
I get it.
Nothing.
The scapegoating and the red herring and all that jazz. I get all of that, but I myself am not part of the media, but I still say video games definitely do have a negative influence by exposing kids to these methods of terror, basically. That, as I said before, Call of Duty, smoke grenades, AR-15, gas.
I will just intervene with this.
I'm sorry, man.
Number one, the games are not being put for children. It is the parents' responsibility.
Correct.
I've seen this in Germany right now. There was a recent argument on things on how parents want World War II games to be even more censored in Germany because of the Nazis and so forth. And it's like quite literally, all you have to do, you got two options as a German parent, in my view. Take your kid to the side and tell them for 5 minutes why the Nazis are bad, or go with my preferred option, lock them in a room and play Schindler's List on the television.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Damn, I wanted to make that joke.
Beat you to the punch.
I still
So
say
it's the exact same scenario. The argument of kids and Call of Duty, and it's like the game isn't even rated for them.
That's
it has
not
to
deny that it gives them maybe knowledge as to how to do things. I think.
Oh, I'm not denying that. It gives them way too much knowledge.
The only thing I disagree with is the argument that's saying that video games cause the mass shootings in the sense that it increases their violent tendencies or anything like that. When in reality, there's no evidence. There's really pretty much no evidence to support it. That most of the
the only person who could support any evidence of
that.
And the only person who could support any evidence of violence from video games was a German lawyer who is now spending over 20 years in prison because it turns out for the past 6 years he has been pretending to be a lawyer without his license.
Yeah.
That is their biggest credit.
I think you were going to say Jack Thompson.
Who is that?
Oh my God. Jack Thompson, he's a Christian conservative who thinks video games cause violence, and he has a raging hate boner for...
I like him.
Raging hate boner for GTA. And then there's a picture of him holding a GTA gun. I'm like, aha! I knew it. He was wanting GTA for himself.
What I always think is funny is there's...
Oh wait, I think I know who you're talking about now.
What I find funny is there's actual people who don't want teachers armed at all. Like, I find that bizarre that...
Yeah, Slate did an article on that.
Like, why do you not want teachers armed when they could defend the students and themselves? And what the arguments I've heard, like, on through YouTube when I've commented or like on Facebook or whatever, and then they say teachers aren't paid enough, and like, for one, no, they are actually paid a good amount of money.
Yeah, I did videos
and
on
two, that has nothing to do with the argument that they shouldn't have guns.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, guys. I was eating. I wanted to make a quote about what you guys were saying earlier, and then we'll get right back to this. Let's take what they were saying at full face value. Okay, let's say it's true, all right? And like video games are conspiring individuals to commit violence. They got to consider there's like 10,000 different medias of like video games, movies, comics, books that could do the same thing. So why video games? Are we just going to call
I think it's because you're doing the action. You control the character in the game who's doing this action.
Look, as a gamer and a gun owner, there is literally no skills from gaming to firing a firearm.
Whoa! Studies show that
I am evidence.
Studies show
maybe aiming and pulling the trigger to actually load the weapon, to dispel a misfire, to clean the weapon. That's it.
I am going to disprove you right now because of my experience. with a training rifle back in Germany.
Ooh, Germany.
I never shot a weapon before, but they thought I had years of experience because not only did I know how to load the gun, aim the gun, and have enough aiming capabilities of shoot something up to 500 meters away. Now, if I could only obtain a rifle,
What's
that's
that
different.
in
Well, some
American?
people are also natural shooters.
Okay. I've been sitting on a rebuttal for a little while now. I just have to get it out. Z, my rebuttal when you said it's the blame of the parents that the kids are able to get these video games. I completely disagree. I have a 12-year-old younger brother who constantly is torrenting video games, torrenting all the Grand Theft Auto games, all the Call of Duty games. It's very easy, and kids
Okay,
these
that's
days,
a different scenario. I
they're
agree.
very tech savvy. They can
Problem
access.
solved.
What I was
Yeah, I
trying
would just
to
like to
say
quickly
was that-
comment. If there's a license, or let's say you have a description to your credit card, the games advertise, at least on the Xbox One, all these rated M games that you can just essentially buy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I wanted to bring out more, I didn't explain it well enough. I will just try. It's not that I'm going to blame the parents directly for this. I'm going to blame the parents for when they take no actions per se on this. If they do get a game for their kid, or even if they know that their kid has gotten a game, then I believe that the parent has some form of responsibility to explain a little bit, especially if the kid is a little bit young. Hell, the biggest mistake that I've ever seen was in my second last school, the ICT teacher, the computer class teacher. Her son did not go to the same school, so one time she had him in class and so forth, and he was playing a game on his mother's computer. She was the teacher. The kid was just 6 years old, and she got him Grand Theft Auto 4 without thinking.
Oh
because the
yeah,
kid
yeah. There was
wanted the game.
See,
there was parents that took their kids to go see Deadpool, even though it was a rated R film.
Yeah.
Parents
I think
have
there
to
was
be
also some
aware
parents
of
who took
what their kids are
their
So
into.
kids to
in
see,
that sense, I mean that the parent has some form of responsibility. I'm not saying that all violence that kids do because they got something from a video game is the parents' fault. Not that.
No,
Okay.
but that brings up another point. Like, parents have to be aware of, what kind of video games and movies their kids are into. They have to be a parent.
Yeah.
They have
one
to
more
be aware of
example.
what's going on.
Right.
One more
And-
example that I can bring about this is my own experience with my PS2. Because my father got so pissed off at me because my mother bought me a Harry Potter game. I will say the game was fun. It was rated M because of some slightly disturbing scenes that I will not talk about. Yeah. But guess what my father bought for me as a gift without thinking of anything?
Call of Duty?
Grand Theft
What?
Auto San Andreas.
Love that game. I love that game.
So he's pissed off at my mother because she got me a Harry Potter game while he thinks of nothing of getting Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh, that reminds me of
Hey,
Wake Stories.
women and men different, completely different there. And I just want to say, Grove Street for life, man.
I didn't even know there was.
I found what's his name? Big Smoke's Ghost in GTA 5. He knocked me out with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Rational Outlaw, I wanted to give my rebuttal to what you were saying previously about you said that video games don't cause this type of aggression that we see in the shooters. And I want to reiterate a point that I made previously, which is whether you look at Nicholas Cruz today or you look at Adam Lanza from the past, who was a Columbine shooter, there are certain kids with certain medical conditions like autism that are very sensitive to this violence, and it could trigger them off. So even if it doesn't cause aggression, it can trigger
No,
aggression.
I have to disagree with that because for 2 points. One, autism is not linked to aggression, and most disabilities of any sort, like how they say people with schizophrenia are all violent. Vast majority of people who have disabilities like that, whether it be autism, Down syndrome, or schizophrenia, are nonviolent. The vast majority are nonviolent.
I have to
who are
counter-argue
violent,
Warren.
but
I
the
have to,
vast
like-
majority of people with disabilities like those are nonviolent and are more likely to be victims of violent crime than to commit them themselves. Also, as I said, there have been studies to show that games have had like almost either no effect or little effect on child development, on whether they have more aggression.
Actually,
I'm saying that there's been multiple
sorry
studies
for
to show.
interrupting. This just reminds me of a case that the two most violent students in my last school hated video games.
Yeah, that doesn't
Like,
prove
they hated
anything,
me and one of my friend, who I will not say his name, because we liked to talk about the free video games that we had on our computers.
Look,
That was the only reason that they gave on why they did not like us.
Okay,
that's an
I just want to
anecdote.
finish my point. And also, they've like, if you were to look at it, how depending on how violent games are, it didn't really matter in the sense because everything had the same effect. Like a cartoon with let's say that had a gun in it that was like not really shaped like a gun, had the exact same effect as a much more violent game, I believe.
Oh my
Right.
fucking
I want
gosh.
to make a counterpoint to Warm here. That what you said, it goes back to, you know, parents controlling and finding out what their kids are into. It's a whole circle. If you're a parent, you have to be aware of what your kids are into, and whether it's video games, comics, whatever, just so you can be like, hey, that's not appropriate for you. You know, my situation, my mother didn't give a shit. So I was into literally all the gory horror movies or whatever, and I turned out okay. But with my half brother,
Yeah.
it was completely different. My dad and my stepmom were in his business 24/7. You know, he wasn't able to play violent video games until he was at least 16.
Oh,
Okay.
and if I also could add one other point, I think if I recall, but I'd have to look up to be sure. Also, most of the mass shooters were on some form of medication or drugs that caused them to be more likely to be more
That's
violent.
what I was about. That's what I was about to say as a rebuttal to both of your points. Number one, it's not just autism. Nicholas Cruz was on psychotropic drugs and he was seeing a psychiatrist. So you have to acknowledge that these games,
the psychotropic drugs, because it's not necessarily.
but the games can trigger this already pre-existing type of aggression within him because he's on psychotropic drugs. Video games aren't helping that situation. That's my first point. The second point
I never
is
said they were helping. I'm just saying there's been no
Right,
scientific evidence to show that it causes it.
But I'm saying that we need to acknowledge the fact that it can trigger. If you're on psychotropic drugs, if you have autism, video games are not going to have like zero effect. They obviously have to have some type of effect. That's my first point. Second point.
Measured effect, I think,
Just like how
negligible.
jelly donuts trigger an overweight woman to continue eating.
Okay,
I would just like to say I'm the only one here, to the best of my knowledge, who has a brother with an actual mental disability. Generally, he's not violent, but you got to remember, it is easier to convince him to do something. It is like children in general, it's easier to conform them. And maybe if they're put in this state, it's much more easier, let's say extreme stress, or he's being abused, to want to go feel powerful or want some kind of avenge or something of that nature, because, you know, it's easy for them to be more conformed into something.
Oh yes, there's that, but that usually requires someone else to convince them to do that.
I have to agree.
This
I
is
have
just
to
something
agree
I
with Warren though on the medication. That he brings up a good point about that.
Oh, I wasn't denying about the medication. I'm just talking about the specific disorders themselves. Medication usually has much more of a cause to whether someone is being violent rather than actually it's been found with mental disorders.
And it comes down to, you know, having good parents. You know, if say a kid has autism or some form of mental disorder, you know, if my opinion, if a parent knew this, would you really think they would let them play violent video games to begin with? Unless, you know, they believe that, you know, they were ready for them, you know what I mean? It all comes down to parenting and all these small things that would lead to him committing the crime to begin with. I think he was just from what I read, he was bullied, and between
I got something
that,
on him about bullying.
the drugs, the meds, excuse me, I think it just was the breaking point. I believe his mom actually passed away too, so that's a definite factor, because if anyone had someone very close to them pass away, you know that low point, that void that you go in when someone passes.
Also, if I may bring up, there's also just sometimes when people just crack for little to no reason, like where they have no disability of any sort that's known, or weren't on drugs or anything, and they just did something very stupid and decided to kill someone for stupid reasons.
Right. And
there's obviously
again,
sometimes that people just do that.
I'm not willing to deny that all these things could contribute to him committing the crime, but to just blatantly say that video games are the sole reason, like the mainstream media are, it's just no, it's not. There's no bueno. And
yeah. Critical Cracker, I just have to say, like, you're saying it all comes down to the parents, but as I said to Z earlier, these kids can torrent games very easily, and the parents can't always know. I didn't know that my younger brother had, like, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, for example. He did have that. I didn't know he had that torrented until like months after he had already got it. So if we can't figure out, like, even the best parents cannot check your computer every single day to make sure that you have the perfect game. So
well, my parents never gave us a personal computer. We had a public computer that everyone used. My parents never let us play video games in our room. We had the living room where we played video games. We had 2 hours.
Yeah, my mother did something similar with me.
We had 2 hours worth of TV or video game time. If we used that up, that was it for the day. And we were told to go out and play for the rest of it. It was strict, but at the same time, it helped them monitor what the hell we were doing. And
also,
I remember distinctly playing Resident Evil 2. I was, God, what was I? I think I was 16, maybe 17 at the time. And my brother was, God, he's 10 years younger than me. I don't want to do the math right now. My brain hurts. Anyway, I was playing Resident Evil 2, and
wait, if you were 16 and your brother is 10 years younger than you, that means he was 6.
6, whatever. I don't care. My brain. I've been at work all day, dude. Okay.
Okay.
Can I add a couple points to this? I noticed a lot that we're mentioning children. A lot of these shooters are full-grown ass adults.
There we go.
I don't. Yeah, and then again, as you were mentioning, seems like you're making some kind of social moral argument, and that's completely fine. For the most part, good parents would ultimately lead to a good, better society. Clearly, it cannot prevent everything, but
right.
When you got to look, we're also like me. I'm a very weird case. I've lived a very weird life, but I was playing San Andreas when I was 10, and doing a lot of shit. We are a socially rapidly developing society because we literally have computers that can access to anything. We were kind of evolving in this hyperbolic civilization, and most information, most of anything, most of any form of art, culture is right at our fingertips. And we're literally connected to everyone across the world. And we're transitioning into this. You know, not everyone's going to transition quite correctly, and perhaps we have more knowledge in our hands than most men could ever.
I think I got the best case scenario. In my third school, I think there was this kid who full on believed that he went to Mars because of the internet.
Wait, what?
And this is not, I'm not joking to you. His name was Siddhant. He full on believed that he went to Mars through the internet. And it's not like
probably high.
No, I'm goddamn 18, and this was before 2010, so that I would be 11. That wouldn't be the case, but he stuck to this for 3 years.
Well,
Oh God, what?
You're kind of roboting there.
Yeah.
Potato.
I would say this about that. You're always going to have idiots. Idiots are always going to exist.
Yeah.
Um,
Flat Earth
and-
Society
yeah. And if
officially
anything,
believe Mars is circular.
yeah. But if anything, I think a lot these conspiratorial groups, like hell, even the alt-right, they're going to slightly grow because again, you're exposing billions of people that now have knowledge, information about pretty much anything. And some of this shit, honestly, I don't think they entirely believe. I think it sounds interesting to them. And thus they indoctrinate themselves. Like it's hard, it's so easy to get indoctrinated to anything now these days because just everything's there. And you know, they're going to like a lot of people who join cults and stuff like that. It's a generally interesting thrill ride. Like honestly, the kid was probably having a blast believing that he went to Mars. I know I would.
I
The
think we got a
craziest
bit
thing
off
was that
topic.
his parents actually paid for a front page of the local newspaper to be filled out with the stories. You're still
kinda-
robot voicing.
Yeah, it's robot-y.
I think it comes down to the combination of the psychopathic drugs, the day and age of the social media, lack of parenting, all the above can create this volatile person. And the guy who said, you know, this guy is a man.
Is it better?
He's not a
Yeah, it's better now.
be super careful nowadays.
Sorry.
And more. And this kind of for, you know, got to respond to this now kind of mentality that a lot of these younger kids have with, you know, social media, maybe a significant factor. I don't know. I'm not a scholar, but you know, I honestly think the major thing here is the medication.
Medication and upbringing are probably one
negative
of
way.
the two
Yeah.
biggest factors.
Yeah. So what was the medication? That's a good question. What exactly was he on or using?
It doesn't
Ritalin,
say.
maybe?
Yeah, a family member had just reported that he was on drugs. The family member did
Amen.
not actually say which drugs he was on.
Well, we could simplify this if we knew what the drugs are. That's
Okay. Let me finally say what I was trying to say before my microphone messed up. 18 bucks. You said that.
We can make an assumption that he was on an antidepressant because of his mother passing,
that's
but
fair.
that's not
Yeah.
verified.
Yeah. That's a fair statement. But again, for context sake, it's probably best that we know what it is. You know.
What were you saying, Warm
Warm
Potato?
potato.
Yes.
Warm
okay,
potato. You
fine.
still there?
Yes. Finally. Okay. You said that these people are. I'm pretty sure it was you. That these people are very close to being adults. That these are basically fully grown. Nicholas Cruz committed this shooting right now, as of present day. He is 19 years old. But these police reports, these 39 different police visits to his home, have been going on for upwards of a year, and the family violence, domestic violence type stuff, has been going on since long before that. He lived in a fatherless home. So
I'm sorry, man. You're breaking up on my end. I can barely hear you.
Yeah, it's still kind of robust, but I think I get the what you were saying.
Yeah.
Do you think that I think that age factors here, or something like that?
yeah.
Well, hormones plus drugs plus insanity.
Plus
Well,
not a bad-
firearms.
the reason. Okay, the reason why I stated age, in our previous conversation is just we were talking so much about children, this, how to teach children, or they should be watched more, and I didn't think it was fair that we didn't mention anything about the
Oh, yes,
adults
because the
that were
fact that
doing
the
it.
majority of shooters are in their 20s or 30s.
Well,
Okay.
Can we?
age may in fact vary, you know, but again, age is just kind of a slippery slope. Yes, people mature, but some people are as idiotic, stupid, living with their mother at the age of 40. You can have children that are more wiser than 40-year-olds.
40-year-old living with his mother. That's what we call a brony, bro.
Okay, I think we've talked about this quite a bit. Do we want to move on to another point of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a long social discussion. Where you want to get into physical policies regarding guns?
You sure? Can you guys hear me fine now?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh,
Sound
okay.
beautiful.
Thank goodness. Okay. If you guys want to get into the policies, sure. As you guys know, there was a CNN town hall, Dana Lash. People were yelling out, calling her a murderer, child killer, burn her, so on and so forth. People were threatening her life. She had to have armed security guards. It's gotten super heated now because on one side you have people saying that you need to like outlaw guns, and on the other hand, you have people not saying that. And I say that because President Obama, for example, President Obama said, look at Australia's gun laws, look at the UK's gun laws. They have some pretty fantastic gun laws. So we should try to be more like them. And you see, like, we're getting hyper polarized by this point, in my opinion, because you have one side saying ban all guns and the other side saying don't do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, again, the left, one of their major problems is that they're ultra extreme humanitarians. Like the border, just fucking tear it down. A lot of these illegal immigrants have families. And these murderers, let's not kill them because they have families. They're essentially the equivalent of anarchists because somebody has a fucking family. And again, regarding these people yelling and screaming, likely they had families, likely they were extreme polarized.
Did you just eat a cracker?
Cracker's cousin.
Yeah. Weird ass Cracker Jack, but
How many families does Cracker have? I thought I ate them all.
Well, we reproduce a lot, so I got a lot of family. But continue.
Well, I prefer mine with peanut butter.
I feel oppressed right now.
So I forgot, what was the point we were talking about?
We were talking about he brought up the town hall debates, member, and I think he made some points about Australia. Again, this is Australia. This is a lower population, largely condensed to a coastal style where most of your civilization in Australia is. It's a completely different country.
And there's also the fact that that violent crime was dropping before they got rid of their guns.
Yeah, and I would like to make 2 points. This is gonna sound like some race realism shit. I'm not a race realist. I'm not a race realist, but you got to look at the black population. Okay, there are legitimate reasons why the blacks kind of congregate, and this is partially with slavery and an impression from the South, but they're generally not in a developed part as a lot of white people. If you look at white crime statistics and you look at black crime statistics, white crime statistics are at the same level as a lot of these developed European nations. Black crime statistic, unfortunately, it's a fact like South Africa. I know that's a rather racy thing to bring, but another thing is we're a very hyperbolic civilization that is the powerhouse of the economic world that has over 340 million people living on it, and we're going to be socially, physically different from a lot of these small countries such as, let's say, Finland, that only has 5 million people, largely white and middle class. Again, it's like comparing apples and oranges, and I know people don't like that our argument, and somebody said, well, you shouldn't compare apples and oranges, they're still fruits. Well, fucking geckos and alligators are still reptilians. We don't.
Also, guns are pretty much a part of the American identity too. The distrustfulness of government is built in American DNA culturally.
Well,
and,
we want our independence. We're a revolutionary state.
Right. And
also, I'd like to
my opinion for reforms. Sure, I guess we could add a mental health check to when you buy a gun besides the regular background check. I don't mind waiting an extra few months for my weapon, but I'm not for banning the AR-15. Shit, the guy could have done more damage with a shotgun, I'm willing to argue.
Yeah.
With a semi-automatic
again,
shotgun.
It was
the
in
only-
close compartments when he was shooting, so yeah, it would make sense that a shotgun would be more effective.
And to ban the AR-15, no. And my thing is, if the government can have it, I can have it. It is my right as an American citizen, and the Second Amendment. Because
There's also the fact that the
we
military
can
doesn't
use it for
use
hunting or whatever,
AR-15s.
but at the end of the day, it's to defend American people from tyranny. God forbid that ever happens. Hopefully it won't, but it's there just in case. Because
I would just like to say, Cracker, the only problem I have with an extended rating period was there's a woman that needed a gun ASAP because somebody was trying to legitimately murder her, and she had to wait 30 days, and the guy got her.
Well, where
So
I
I'm just
live,
saying,
you can.
If you
Where
want
I live, you can literally walk in, and if you pass the background check that same day, you can walk out with it.
Yeah, I'm talking about pistols. I'm not talking about assault rifles, but some legitimate form of defense. Like if it's an extended weapon.
There should be a balance. Yeah, I'm not saying like a few months. Oh, it should be an appropriate amount of time.
Yeah. Depending on your
5
weapon.
days.
Yeah.
Always seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Right. But
Also,
at the
just
same
one
time,
quick thing: the AR-15 is not an assault rifle.
Oh.
No, and there's something in the air, and I'm a little bit worried because with mass hysteria about gun control and banning these weapons, I honestly think it's gonna snowball into something much bigger.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, you just posted something into the chat, Cracker, didn't you? Oh, what's that falling behind you?
Huh? Nothing. Anyways, no, you guys went completely like in a different direction. I thought you would. I would.
Sorry.
To reiterate.
We are unpredictable.
To reiterate, Dana Lash, she's the NRA spokeswoman. She went out to the CNN town hall and she was greeted with people calling her a murderer and a child killer, which is in of itself or whatever, right? But then they start yelling out, burn her, and then she, in her own testimony, she's coming out and saying people were trying to physically assault her. Thank God she had her security detail. So we're talking about policy, but in reality, hyperpolarization is an enormous problem, and people were trying to kill someone just for supporting the second. It's like they said burn her like a witch. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, again, these people, they're likely family members, da-da-da-da-da. My main question is, if these people are mentally traumatized, why the fuck are they there? We're talking about a legitimate political discussion that's being hosted on a large-scale news outlets and everything. They're bringing emotionally unstable people there.
Pawns. That's because these people are literally stepping on the graves of children to push a political agenda. That's what's disgusting about it.
Yeah.
Situation.
Me and Outlaw and
Cracker, I don't mean to sound annoying, Cracker, but your microphone seems to be going down each time.
I
Does anyone
have to
else
mute
notice that?
myself sometimes because I'm at work.
Oh.
Wait, are you at work?
Yeah, I'm still at work. I'm on break.
That's crazy. We've been on this live stream for like a long while.
Yeah, I got in at 3 p.m.
And now it's like 6. How long is your break?
How long have I been on here?
Like forever.
I don't know.
No, couldn't be more than.
Wait, let me see. It tells when that person arrived. Let me see. When did you arrive? Critical Cracker. Around 5:30.
You've been around
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
Wait,
So,
are you East Coast or are you West Coast?
I am. Yeah, me and Rational Outlaw are west.
Yeah, I'm
Coast.
East Coast.
I'm West Coast.
I'm Rocky Mountains.
Oh, I didn't know you were West Coast. Putz.
Right.
What should I
Yeah,
call
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
exactly?
So
I live in good old Ohio, the swing state.
Oh, you're Swing State too.
Yeah.
What should we exactly call you? So, because just to clarify.
Well, you can call me James or Putz or Putza.
Okay.
James.
Yeah. It's my middle name. I want to refrain from using my
Jesse
actual
and
name.
James, Pokemon.
Well,
But
no, it's more like a German Putz and then a James. So,
Have you
Ramondidi or Juliet. I don't know.
Did anyone
you
see the
guys-
message I put in the chat?
have you guys seen the conspiracy theory
No,
that
yeah.
CNN using like actors I don't know how true it is to push the anti-gun agenda or
I
whatever.
have seen those conspiracy theories, but they probably have little to no.
Well, I know somebody got
validity.
fired for calling them actors.
What?
Some kind of publication, some kind of journalist pushing the notion that they're actors, and they got fired.
Aye.
Yeah, I don't know. Like again, this is kind of like people who deny Sandy Hook even happened. They may or may not be actors, but I wouldn't try to make anything of it.
I
Because how easy-
honestly believe one of the parents interviewed by CNN was a crisis actor because
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
there were two other scenarios, and that the same guy with the same voice but different name appeared on, and one of them was 9/11 that this guy appeared on CNN for.
Sure.
So
Um,
it's either
Again,
he
I
has
would
the
try to
worst luck,
like
or-
a prisoner who drops the soap. I would try to stay the hell away from it because if we were legitimately debating a leftist group, they would fucking hound us. They would call us conspiratorial and all this. I wouldn't try to make anything of it.
yeah.
It's probably just conspiratorial nonsense, but I don't like back to the CNN. I don't like them using kids to push an agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not focusing on the failures of the FBI and the local police department who had dealings with this person. And instead, like I said before, they're just focusing on, the AR is a bad rifle, gun control, take them away, that sort of thing. It's just like, why are you so dense? The problem's right here, laid out for you, and you're going completely in the opposite way.
Or there's also the fact that people somehow find it controversial that teachers should be armed with guns, and
I don't.
saying no,
If they're
Yes,
certified,
Nate
if they're
is
trained,
making articles on that now.
like
I
if they're
would ask
certified,
that,
if they're trained, that's fine.
Yeah. Like if I was asked if you were a teacher bringing a gun, I only ask that you're a registered SEAL can carry member. You were legitimately a responsible citizen, like amongst the 90 million citizens that were capable of carrying a gun. I would.
Yeah, you don't like leave it out on the table or something like an
No, of
idiot.
course
Just
not.
have it on your person.
Well, I
at all
don't think the
times.
main concern is so much the adults; it's more of the children.
Hmm.
Because you're bringing a firearm, regardless if it's like tucked in your pants or something. You're bringing a firearm into an environment where there's kids. Would be the only legitimate criticism I can think of it.
Well, relevant piece of information. Colton Hab, who was the ROTC kid, he said that CNN tried to have him bring out scripted questions. And Brandon Minoff, also, he said, quote, I think it's the media. They exploit everything to make it political. They're more concerned about gun control at this moment rather than the fact that there are 17 people that were killed, end quote. So there are multiple students coming out saying it's all orchestrated as like a political campaign.
Well, you got to consider there's other kids with political opinions there, and this asshole of a kid who interviewed Marco Rubio used like every emotional, like this isn't a left and right issue, but he kept fucking comparing them to monsters. He kept quoting them saying, "Oh, I'm a good person, but I feel compelled not to shake your hand, but I'm going to do it anyway." Essentially, you need to hear it. This kid was using every slander tactic to betray them as monsters, not other individuals who mean completely good intent and have a different solution to his problem. And then he made a long discussion about Rubio taking money from the NRA. These were a lot of this was completely politically irrelevant, and of course, raking the political benefits of your dead friends to monsterize your opponent, but a legitimate political platform. And again, why are you bringing up a fucking traumatized, let's say, 14-year-old kid, can't vote, can't consent to sex, can't own a firearm, can't drive, to such a discussion, especially under that tragedy? I don't mind if he asks questions, but the way he acted was absolutely unexcusable. And he's being deemed as some kind of hero. And they're likely, again, going to use this to their advantage to push their agenda, the ultimate emotional argument. Bring in children that went through tragedies, and how dare you disagree with them, you monster, kind of rhetoric. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, God forbid, like, by some miracle, they managed to amend the Second Amendment. And, if that ever happened, it'd be civil war. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple.
Luckily, it's highly unlikely to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even let's say there's not a civil war, you're just going to get average citizens illegally buying guns. I would illegally buy a gun.
No, dude, like, it'd be civil war. Period.
Yeah. Rational Outlaw, I have to say, a little, tiny bit of history. President Obama got in a lot of trouble during his administration with the Supreme Court because basically when the Congress was in recess, Obama tried to call in a special Congress, like a special Congress where he would appoint the members of the Congress. And you're only allowed to do that in a state of emergency, you see. But he tried to do it so he could make changes to Obamacare, and the Supreme Court said he couldn't. So if the Supreme Court, say, was stacked with pure Obama acolytes, then they would have allowed him to form his own Obama-centric Congress to pass his own Obama-centric laws. So let's not pretend like tyranny is impossible. It's just
I never said it's impossible. I just said it's highly unlikely. It's
Right.
very difficult.
It all depends on if the Supreme Court is balanced or not.
But also, let's also the fact getting rid of a constitutional right is very difficult. It requires more than just Congress to get rid of it. It requires each of 3/4 of the states to be in favor of getting rid of or adding an amendment.
Yeah, but he'd be halfway there.
Yes.
Yeah. It would
Honestly,
be very bad
at
on
this
an individual scale.
Yeah,
Let's say bunch stops, scopes, and all that. If we had,
I think it was mathematically calculated out. It only takes around 2% of the population to say no to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said,
Honestly,
by some
let's-
miracle, if that ever happened, there'd be blood on the streets.
Yeah, that's not even America. That's a realistic possibility.
Yeah, that's currently Eastern Germany or Sweden.
Tears.
hey, we're willing to accept you, white immigrants, if you want to come over.
I can't afford the US. I would gladly come to the US.
I think we've been on here for quite a while. Does anyone have any closing thoughts on the whole issue, gun control, the shooting, whatever?
Closing
one.
time.
It's a repeated problem that ceases to have any stability behind it.
We have a
Wait a
we have
second,
a
is
mental
someone
health.
beeping or is that from?
That sounds like someone's
It's
car.
me, sorry. we have a mental health problem disguised as a gun problem.
Yeah.
But that's bound to happen with a nation as big as the US.
But are you gonna let us do some shameless plugins, Outlaw?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if anyone else
Yeah.
has any.
The final thing that I would have to say is, as Critical Cracker pointed out, basically every level of government failed in this. FBI failed, local law enforcement failed, the community tried to report him, the students tried to report him, the teachers reported him, everyone tried to stop it, and it still happened. So I'm holding on to my guns because the system is broke. The end.
I would like to leave with a kind of closing statement, and I think some of you may disagree with me on this. I think possibly, and in this regarding, gun-free zones. I think if you're going to take away individuals' rights to defend themselves what's in this zone, you have to provide some sense of security. Some kind of
Okay,
armed
that's a
individual.
fair point.
And another thing, I think that we need a more confident bureau, a more confident district to handle gun-free zones or background checks. And the only problem is we are essentially creating a new bureau, but maybe a more confident agency to handle the security, let's say, of schools and background checks for civilians.
Honestly,
yeah.
Israel has got everything down when it comes to school shootings.
And do you have any final thoughts, Cancer?
I think gun control is total BS, and people are going to find their ways around gun control because they always do. When you outlaw something, it's like a prohibition in the 20s. People found the ways around it. So, I mean, it's completely pointless.
So
All
what
right.
you mean is that in the 21st century, we're gonna get our own version of Al Capone, but instead of whiskey, it's gonna be bullets.
I'm afraid
Or
so.
Muhammad.
That would be
in
interesting.
Europe
That
too.
would be interesting. And then in my lifetime, there would be an interesting film be made out
All
of that.
right. All right. So why don't we start with Putz? Let's have you do your little outro.
Wait, what?
You're shilling yourself.
Wait, what?
You say like your social media, all that.
Shit, it must be my mic. Okay, say loud and clear.
Oh,
my
just like you can
Kill yourself.
Kill myself?
Yes.
say like
Okay.
channel,
Okay, if I can just say
Oh.
one thing before the camera goes. Yeah, before the live stream goes out. This is a great article title that everyone will love. Fact. All tragedy happens because of toxic masculinity and lack of communism.
What the fuck?
I have stage 5 butt cancer because of that.
I'll share it in the chat.
All right, so Putz, you can just just say what social media if you want anyone to follow you and stuff like that.
Social media? Okay. You can just mainly contact me through my Minds account, 18 Putz. I have a Facebook and Twitter, but I never use it. Censorship, and plus nobody cares that I exist. But on Minds, I have more of a platform. Just join the all-purpose group. I'm not going to ban you unless if you do something really illegal. And I
Damn.
think that's a very fair moral compass to follow. And if you had any further questions, just contact me on minds.com.
Nice.
All right, Cancer.
Well, my name is the Lord of Nordell Cancer. You can find me on Twitter at JewishByGuy, and my YouTube is Lord of Cancer. Okay, who the fuck is fapping right now? Okay, whoever.
Less questions, the better.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm not done yet. And if you want to find me on Instagram, it is _Levi_Cohen_. And with that being said, I am going to distribute some porn that I'm printing out and sell it. Just joking.
Okay, Crack, are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, there. You want to show yourself?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and kill myself. Oh, you mean kill yourself? Okay. I'm the
Damn it, you're a
critical cracker.
taxpayer. No.
I'm a critical cracker. I do political commentary, social media, video games, pretty much anything related to pop culture. Follow me on Twitter at CrackerCritical and YouTube at the Critical Cracker. And I provide you with quality cancer. Grade A cancer.
Sam?
Oh, shit, grade A.
Oh boy. My YouTube channel is Warm Potato. It's all one word, Warm Potato. So go ahead and search that up. Check it out. I have the greatest videos of all time. And next person.
All right, Zeke?
My channel is Z Commander. I mostly post slow strategy games that
Is the
simply
Nazi? You must
Shut
yield
up,
to
or
the
you don't go
command.
to the gas chambers.
God damn it! I'm gonna go all gulag on your ass. On good old Uncle
So we
Joe.
got a Nazi, a cracker, and a communist. This is
And a
definitely the set
Jew.
for
Hey! Woody Guthrie was a communist sympathizer. What I now just found out the other week.
what?
Yeah,
Anyways.
you love communists.
Anyways, you can follow me on my Twitter at Valentino599. You can follow me on Minds and Gab at ZCommander.
All right.
You must
And-
follow the commander, or you will go to the camp.
Cracker, you are going on very thin ice over here.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Guten Tag.
My name is Ration Outlaw. You can follow me on my YouTube channel. That's the same name, Ration Outlaw. Also, Minds.com. I have it as Mr. Ration Outlaw. You can also find me on Gab, Twitter, BitChute, Tumblr, DeviantArt, basically a bunch of different social media. And I make political news and social commentary videos mostly. And yeah, that's it. So if you want to go follow me on all my different social media. And so this is Ration Outlaw. You've been watching Rational News Live, and I'll see y'all later.